Finance from ABSA, going off the beaten track to find solutions. Finance from ABSA, overcoming all obstacles.
Botswana is known as one of the most peaceful nations on the African continent, but for 3 days in June, this peace and quiet is shattered by more than 80 cars, which pierces the air with loud noise and speed along desert paths at breakneck pace. It's the Toyota Kalahari Botswana Desert 1,000-kilometer race, leg 4 of the 07 ABSA Off-Road Championship Series, marking the halfway point of the nationals, all of the categories which are balanced on a knife edge. The route was divided up into a prologue on day 1 over 50 kilometers to determine starting positions for the racing proper on day 2 and 3, when the 75 teams of production and special vehicles hit the circular route that was designed with the Botswana Tourism Board and the local ecology in mind. Former national champions Duncan Foss and his stand-in co-driver and 7-time desert champion Richard Leek in their proudly South African Nissan Navara looked sharp as they sped by early on, seeking a second win in a row after his triumph at Sun City 5 weeks earlier. With another Nissan Corvette and Balzar's Navara closing the gap to the front, things were going to get interesting. And when Corbett gets the bit between his teeth, you have to stand back. For Harkis and Moore, there was an even bigger move. They were 17th overnight, but moved straight into the top 10, even though they wrong slotted here. At the front of the specials, though, the biggest surprise of the day was delivered by Collie Silvot and his son Quinton, who piloted their transport Zarko out to a lead of almost 3 minutes over the next special. In between that, though, there was Visser and Badenhorst in their Castrol Toyota, who was steady after starting off 10th. The second special was the turquoise blue Atlas Copco bat of the Harpers, whose cautious approach in the first half was paying off in the second. Matthews and Smith had suffered a puncture 32 kilometers out from the finish line on day 1 and had to be content with third. While the driver the latter part of the day came from Motorrad team manager Hutchison and Bergman. They were 20th in class but passed all in sundry to take 4th. And looking and sounding rather worse for wear after several collisions with Botswana's finest four-known flora, Bevan Bertolt and Robin Houghton came through, and Total Motorsports' Variawa and Rousseau got things going again after a puncture robbed them of some time. For Bertolt and Costain in the Atlas Copco Porter, their race had been run. Gibson and Brown, though, streaked by, and they were putting together a good first day, albeit too far back to worry their special pace setters. The Rapsabat of Nandis Alberts and Colin Hunter had lost a few places, but was still in the top 10 in class. Marsh and Krinovot certainly gave the crowd at the bridge the royal treatment on the flyby. But it was Herman Sewell who impressed everyone with his fine driving and aggressive lines. Back at the bridge, Schilling also gave the crowd what they come to see, all-out speed. The Cries looked like they were again set to dominate Class B, and who could argue, 3 for 3 and going well. The dust in the last few Ks was extremely punishing, and the specials felt it the worst. Just ask Oregon's David and Gary White. Woolridge and Scholthammer have not had the best of seasons. The defending SB champions hadn't finished the first 2 races, but they opened their account at Sun City. Here they again struggled. But in contrast, their stablemates Van Tonda and Guapa and the Unifreight Ford Ranger gave a good account of themselves. Blind in one eye and with body parts all over the show, Tollefson and Quinn showed proof that the African bush is one harsh place. While a whole procession of production cars lined up for the finish after day 1, ahead of the specials. Zamatin nursed his Nissan through, while the Rokon lads just rushed on by. The side note and the brain was solid in the Adenko bat in Class B. While the Weichholz brought the Toyota home looking very well considering the terrain they'd had to cover. In Class E, Jack Peckham and Lucio Santoro led the championship race by a slender point, and they made sure the opposition knew it. But Toyota's Malcolm Koch and Wayne Brink were keeping them honest. And Brian Martin and Oki Free were just close enough to not let the Ford pair relax. Barlow World Absolute Ford Ranger of Schroeder and Huxtable was plagued by several small problems, but they too were heading for the finish line after a long 480-odd Ks. However, at the finish line of day one, it was the almost unrecognizable Toyota father and son combination Hichu and Jaap de Bruin who won in 7 hours and 57 minutes. They were just 17 seconds ahead of a charging Grobler and Jordan in the Nissan Navara, who were chasing hard at the end. For Alfie Cox, it was the end of a dream to win in a production car, on 2 wheels and in a special. And an unfancy team, the Silwalds, led the special vehicle category home with another father and son combination, the Harpers, hoping to make the Sunday a fine Father's Day for one family with a victory. On day 2, the De Bruins had a lot of hard-thinking strategy.